Happy Friday, everyone. Going to start out today by talking about a couple of shop improvements. We all like to make our shops better and nicer to work in. After all, it's our second home, or maybe our first home. Here's an item that I've been using as a stand for my miter saw for many years. Unfortunately, it's plastic, a little wobbly, and it held the saw, but it really wasn't a good item. The other problem is when I need to move it around because I have such limited space, you had to pick it up and move the saw and the stand together since they were bolted together, and it was quite awkward and difficult to do. So one day I was in, and I'd been looking for a stand. One day I was in Home Depot and I discovered this item. Perfect item for my miter saw. It's a nice husky cabinet that had originally been around $129, I believe. I'm not positive of what the price was before, but I saw where the price had been lowered to $69, and I thought, now that item would work well for me as a stand for my saw. It had rolling casters on it that locked so I could keep it positioned. Heavy, actually pretty heavy duty for the price. A nice drawer where I keep my saw accessories I use. A cabinet underneath where I store an extension cord and other items. And the reason for the cord is when I need to do quite a bit of cutting, I like to roll this out to the driveway, keep the sawdust down in the shop, and I've got it hooked, I've got a cord in there. It's got receptacles on the side to plug in 3 tools. Even has USB ports for charging items. So, perfect item for my shop. Worked out well for me. Just thought I'd share that idea. Another shop improvement that was basically just for my benefit, and it was part of my learning experience. This was early on when I started doing tool restorations. My Vise was pretty sad looking. I'd had it for about 15, 20 years. I used it a lot and never did anything. It worked well. Everything was in good order. Just didn't hold up to our standards. So I did some improvement, cleaned it, sanded it, painted it. And I would like to mention, this is a Harbor Freight Vise, and I don't think they make them the same today. They don't look as heavy duty. This one is nice. It rotates. It's got pipe holders. It swivels 360 degrees. And very strong, 5-inch jaw. And it's worked out well. I banged the heck out of tools, straightened them on the anvil. I've held it holds securely. So that's another improvement to the shop. Okay, sometimes we need to determine what to do to make these improvements to the tools we do. And we like to give them a little extra to make them look very nice. So what I do is I have an old clamp that I just test out different colors on when I get them, just to see how they will look on tools or clamps. And so this is my test piece. I've got a couple of them, multicolored, testing paint combinations. In testing those combinations, I also took some old tools I had. Here's an example of one here. This is a coping saw, a no-name, nothing tool, nothing special about it. And I cleaned it up, cleaned the handle up, but the wood was just junky. So I took that nice dark metallic copper paint, painted the handle. Actually came out quite nice. First time I'd used that color on wood, I'd always used it on metal. So I'm not going to hang this on the wall. Took it from a tool in the drawer, out of sight, ugly, to a nice looking little tool that I can show. Since I learned from that color, I decided to try it on something else. I had a set of these old screwdrivers. They're nothing special. They're cheap, no name. I've had them for many years, and they surprisingly have been pretty good screwdrivers. But decided to give a little bit of a class to it. Use some of the skills that we learn by trying different things. So here's a little bit larger version of it. I took it, cleaned it up, shined it, and used that copper color on this wood handle. Actually turned out quite nice. Doing a lot of these paintings and restorations, I found that I wasn't doing a very good job. I actually went into Michael's and found for $5 this paint set. And it's got all these little tiny pointed small brushes, which are great for working when you're trying to do some fine work. So that was a pretty good investment. That helped me get the projects done. Next, I went into the drawer, found several clamps in this dark gray color. Nothing special about them, not any kind of fancy collector brand, but there would be some good items to work on. Try some different paints, try some different techniques to see how it would look, something I could use on my restorations. As you can see, this was an Olympia part. Again, nothing special on this brand. So the first thing I did was took another large clamp I had and painted it with that copper color, see how it would look. What did I learn from this? Well, it has a copper screw and handle on it and a dark copper color. Didn't really go together very well. Nice paint. Also flipped it over on the other side and tried doing a black and a copper combination. What I learned from this was I bought some Krylon craft paint, also at the Michael's store. It was a flat black, and I decided to use it on here. One thing I found about the paint in both the flat and a glossy color I bought over there, that paint is real thick and it leaves a lot of lines when it goes on here when you're painting with a brush. So again, part of the learning experience to see how tools look and what to use on them. Now here's another clamp, a Vermont American clamp I had shown before, but I made a change to it. I painted this one with that dark metallic color, dark metallic copper, and I really liked the way it turned out, and with the silver parts on the screw and the handle, it looks a lot better than the copper. But I had originally painted the Vermont American a gold color. Well, the gold and the copper just didn't work too well together, while the basic color was good. So I repainted the Vermont American and their logo in a white. And now there's a nice wall hanger I can put up with my others that looks nice. Here's another item, the dark gray Olympia Clamp original. And of course, I wanted to try out some of my skills and improve what I did. So I took this clamp, painted a nice machine gray color. Of course, when I wanted to highlight this Olympia, it would have been difficult before, but with the new brushes I got, the fine brushes, and some careful work, I was able to highlight that Olympia, and it turns it into a nice item. I like the color combination of the gray with the red. But as Scout Crafter always says, let's take it over the top. So on this item, I just flipped it over and used the other side. Here again, I'm learning and testing different paints and colors and techniques to see about what kind of finishes I would want to put on other tools. And this really made it stand out better with the background done that way. and I was able to paint around all of the Olympia, again with the fine brush and a slow, careful hand, because I'm not that good at it. But again, remember, as you do these things, you're learning. And here's another Olympia clamp. This one I painted an orange color. Again, a new color for me, just a pure orange, which is used on a lot of clamps. And it looked kind of bare. The color looked good, but I took the Olympia, again, carefully with the brush, as careful as I can get, and was able to highlight it. The original, the redone, and of course, take it over the top. So to do that, we just flip it over and we use the other side. I use the same principle I used on the other one, but I learned something with it is getting the right color combinations together, getting the nice background. Again, here's another item that I'll be able to take and hang on the wall with my other goodies instead of putting in the drawer. Lastly, about a year ago, I pulled out my S-Wing heavier duty hammer than the one I had before and just shined it up. It was all scratched and scarred up. Nothing special about it, no paint on this, just made it look nicer. Another shop tool. So I think back to where I started and where I am today. I've had a heck of a lot of fun, and I've learned a lot. And that's the point of it all. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend.